Hi everyone, it's Ren here, and today I'm going to be making a video about how to catch the attention of an INFJ, or what tends to catch the attention of an INFJ so that they may want to hang out with you in the future if you're one of those people who supposedly is interested in finding INFJs in the wild and figuring out how to connect with them if that happens to be something that you want to do. So maybe let's get into it straight away. Let's just keep in mind that this is my experience, and I'm only speaking from my point of view of what would catch my attention. I'm going to be applying it to INFJs as a whole, but I'm sure there'll be INFJs in the comments who will be contributing their own insights on what catches their attention, what interests them in people. So, in no particular order, I would say the first thing is to be profound. To be profound, I think is the one thing that, like, perhaps above anything else, is likely to interest an INFJ type. And it's hard to quite define what it means for someone to be deep. But I suppose if I were to think about it, I guess I would say that it's someone who does not really stop at looking at certain things in the way that these things are or seem to be, but to ask themselves what does it mean for these things to be that way, who ponders things rather than just take things for granted, right? And people who question things, people who ask themselves questions. So that would be the first thing, to be profound in that sense. Second, I would say to be someone who's kind, not someone who is mean, not someone who is deprived of empathy, if you like. So that's something that I've noticed in INFJs, and I see it in myself, is that if you are super smart, but you're not nice, you're not respectful, you've got a bit of a sense of self-importance on you, and you express it and you crush people, that's not going to impress INFJs at all. INFJs are people who value as much cognitive intelligence as emotional intelligence. And in fact, I think that for a lot of INFJs, intelligence is a mix of these different forms, plus, or a synthesis of these forms, plus social intelligence and other forms. It's never I think it's not valuable to an INFJ to just be someone who is super good at maths or super good at physics or super good at writing. It's always a combination of depth, kindness, and the intelligence that maybe we could use as the third category. Someone who's smart, someone who thinks quickly, someone who's able to reason in original ways, someone who's able to reason in a way that brings clarity to a situation, is going to catch the attention of an INFJ, but not without the kindness that comes along with it, and not without the depth that comes along with it, because it's possible to be smart without being deep, it's possible to be smart without being kind. So, again, important to keep these things in mind. It's important for an INFJ to have to interact with someone who has these three qualities. Otherwise, it's not just that they're going to try to avoid you, it's also that they're not going to be particularly impressed with you as a person. And I'm speaking about healthy INFJs again. Now, a fourth quality that I think is one that INFJs are going to really like is if you can surprise them, because INFJs spend a lot of their time, and often despite really knowing that they're doing it, they spend a lot of their time anticipating how people might behave, anticipating what might happen. It's a consequence of NI, Dominus, and also of FI and FE and TI. But if you surprise them, if you do something that is unexpected, if you do things that surprise them and they find just fresh, that takes them by surprise, it's not gonna make them feel stupid. It's gonna make them feel curious to know more. So I think that would be another big trait that is going to make INFJs interested if you can surprise them. But at the same time, and this is another important aspect, is that INFJs are going to if you bring a certain form of surprise and improvisation in their lives, because INFJs tend to be people who like, because they're F users, so they're extroverts, judgment, they tend to like to have a life that is reasonably well organized, reasonably well planned. They don't like big surprises necessarily. And yes, they feel like a longing for it. They feel like that's something that's missing from a picture which they themselves arrange because that's what they prefer. But they can see that there is a certain lack, and they will always value a person who can bring novelty, improvisation, and surprise. But, and here's the but, also someone who's self-aware. And what I mean by self-aware is someone who knows also when not to overwhelm another INFJs with surprises, because the sense of space of an INFJ, the NI retreats of an INFJ is very important. So INFJs are people who experience a bit of a tug-of-war between, as you know, wanting to be alone, wanting to be with people, but not just that, also between like wanting to be in control of what's going on and, just having a strong sense of what they're doing and having the possibility to anticipate the next steps, and at the same time wanting to just like get out of that planning and like hang out within the NFP and just do something crazy, or not crazy but just different. But it's important to have the right balance. It's not about pure improvisation, because the INFJ would find it very stressful and want to avoid that, and it's not about pure predictability. A nice balance between one and the other is likely to be quite sought after between an INFJ. Improvising but self-aware. So that would be the yet another trait. And I guess I will finish with one trait that I can think about, another one that I think is likely to catch the attention of an INFJ, like the attention of a lot of other people, is to have an original sense of humor. And when I say an original sense of humor, I mean that it's mixed with the element of surprise, it's mixed with a lot of other things. Is that INFJs really appreciate people who have a sense of humor, including people who are able to exercise like a sense of humor on themselves, because in a way that shows self-awareness. But I think beyond this humor, INFJs enjoy people who have a bit of a different sense of humor, because they themselves have a kind of twisted sense of humor that they don't always show to the world straight away, because they're F users and they're conscious of what they project. But I think for me personally, like I love just engaging with someone and then realizing the person has a pretty twisted sense of humor that they're kind of also being kind of coy about or discreet about, but knowing that it's there, and then finally just connecting through exchanging, opening the window onto our respective senses of humor and feeling comfortable doing that and laughing. And often the sense of humor is going to be a little bit different, sometimes a bit irreverent, sometimes extremely absurd. The sense of humor of an INFJ can be attracted towards the absurdism of many other types, because that's not necessarily related to type, but like, just a mix of the strange, the irreverent, and the absurd, I find. And when INFJs see that another person has that like similar sense of humor, and that on top of that they're self-aware, they bring a certain element of surprise, they're kind, they're smart, they're deep, they got all those qualities. Honestly, that's something that the INFJ is going to absolutely treasure, and they will want to hang out with you. Otherwise, they have a problem. They're unhealthy, or they're not INFJs. Okay, and let me know in the comments if you agree with me, and if you can think of other traits of character, personality that INFJs are going to value. Now, I'm of course aware that the traits that I listed, they're going to be liked by most people, because the traits that I listed are qualities, of course. But I wanted to emphasize traits that are really, really likely to strike an INFJ as something that they want to keep in their lives, and make sure that they keep the person in their lives, because the person will have those traits and will bring that something new to their lives. All right, see you guys. Let me know in the comments what you think.